Well, hello, you too. Thank you for coming and visiting us in sunny South Florida. It's probably a little bit warmer from when you guys flew down from.
Just a touch, yeah.
Very excited that you're here to join us. Just for the audience, my name is Javier Jorge. I'm with Locality Bank. I'm Director of Government Guaranteed Lending. And I have what I consider really good friends, Alex and Jay from Parlay. So I'll let you guys introduce yourselves more formally.
Perfect. Alex McLeod. I'm the founder and CEO of Parlay. We are an AI-powered intake tool. We help lenders like Javi and the team here make small business lending as streamlined and as easy as possible so that we can help as many small businesses as possible.
And then Jay Long, co-founder and chief operating officer of Parlay.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And why are we here? It's a big question, right? Well, I'm super excited to announce that Locality and Parlay have partnered in order to serve our small business community better. So my hope today is for formally announce this amazing advancement in Locality's offerings and brag about the capabilities and really talk about what I think we're all really passionate about, which is small business in this great country. So I think you guys had some questions for me.
We sure do.
Fantastic.
We sure do.
Let's go.
Javi, tell us a little bit about the problem. You know, how did you, with your work on the ground, serving all these great businesses in South Florida, what problems are you seeing and where do you see tech like Parlay coming in to help you with that?
It feels that, small business lending is, you got to have a passion for it, right? Because historically it's been a grueling process, right? Small businesses and the entrepreneurs that run them are some of the most passionate people and inspirational people you'll ever come across, right? Because it doesn't seem that there's any obstacle or hurdle that they can't overcome, right? And luckily for us is we throw a lot of those hurdles in a traditional small business lending process. But I ask myself, do we need to do that in order to service our clients and get the right results, which are a loan to a business and the business paying us back, right? Those two key components. You need them both for it to work. And what got me so excited about the Parlay partnership is, I want to focus more on value creation with my businesses, not on document collection and data aggregation, right? And it is a frustrating process for the business as is. And any little bit of assistance or reduction in friction allows us to dive into what's really important, which is the feasibility of their business model, the opportunities in the marketplace, the ability to repay in future capacity, right? Because at the end of the day, if we do a bad job, there's two types of errors. That's a type 1, which is you make a loan that goes bad, right? Which none of us want. That's a bad outcome from all parties. Lives are ruined. Type 2 error, or you didn't make a loan that didn't go bad, that wouldn't have gone bad, And that means that there's lost opportunity creation, right? Yeah. So that entrepreneur that had a feasible concept or model or operation just didn't get the access to capital it needed. So Parlay fits in by becoming that front end interaction, that initial touch to get to the most important conversations as fast as possible.
Tell us, you've been an SBA specialist for a really long time. You know this stuff like the back of your hand. What does that, without Parlay in the mix, what does that breakdown of time end up being, and how are we shifting that breakdown of time together?
Oh God, we can take weeks, if not months, on the front end, which is just aggregating the information in order to then, what I would say is rolling up our sleeves and doing the hard work.
Yeah.
Knock on wood, the anticipation is with this new partnership, we can dramatically reduce that, to single digit percentages of the size of the time that we're doing today, and get to the core problems, right? So then what does that do for us? Well, it increases our efficiency internally so we can be a more efficient and profitable institution, which means that we'd be able to serve more businesses in our community and get more capital out ultimately.
Question I've got for you. I think there are some bankers who hear about artificial intelligence or automation, and their concern rightfully is this is a relationship-based business where my ability to establish rapport with and serve my customers is really important. I think we've heard from a lot of leading lenders, and I'd consider the team here an example of that it should be an enabling function and not something that blocks performance. So how do you think about the appropriate role of artificial intelligence and emerging technologies and relationship lending and building the customer touch points you need to be exactly the trusted partner they go to when they need help? So how do you personally strike that balance, and how do you think about that balance with Parlay?
We live in interesting times, don't we, Jay?
Yeah.
So AI was an afterthought. Prior to October 2022, right? And now all of a sudden, it's everyone who says AI, is getting like nice checks from VC funds. But I don't think at the core, I think back on some examples in other areas. I like chess. I like to play chess. I'm not very good, but I think it's a good mental exercise. And remember Deep Blue when they had their amazing, they beat the chess champion.
Garry Kasparov,
yeah, all the details.
Yeah.
And then the annual competitions, AIs were kicking butt every year. And then I forget what year it was, but there was a new category. It wasn't just humans or AIs. There was the centaur, right? The human and AI. And that combination proves out to be the winning combination time and time again. I think the same situation applies in multiple industries, including banking, right? So in my perfect world, the future that I would love to live in would be a world where AI assists us in this information truth gathering, right? And the quote unquote small business lender becomes a consultant, right? So then we focus on what does this information mean? How do we find, the true insights on how to improve the outcome that we, both as the lender and the business want, which is a company growing, paying the loan back, and everyone is happy, right?
Love all that too. I guess I'll dive in. As we know, artificial intelligence is usually only as good as the data it's trained on.
Yeah.
I think a challenge in the small business space, and you mentioned it, the data orchestration and collection is definitely hard. But there's also an issue, and we talked about this earlier today, with is the data I have even relevant to the decision we're making? How do you think AI not only expands access to data for the small business lending teams, but also changes the questions they get to ask of the data itself?
Well, so what we can, what I think could happen is we can have more dynamic conversations more actively and continuously with an AI integration, right? Because the challenge with a scaling small business lending department is you add more businesses, you're not adding the same number of personnel internally. So the amount of time that each business can be allocated from a individual perspective is reduced the more success you have.
Yeah.
But in an AI-enabled environment, you could have relationships at scale, right? So you can focus on what the core themes and issues are, right? And to your point, we're making a decision on historical data, but your portfolio is existing today and will exist in the future, hopefully. And in order for you to manage that appropriately, you need to have that continuous relationship. And then you're going to have to adapt together, right? Because to your point, you go back the last 3 years, I don't know about you, I don't think what happened the last 3 years, hopefully, is not what's going to happen in the future 3 years, right? But that's how we're making our credit decisions, right? That being said, this is an environment that is accelerating and change. I think the theme for this year is uncertainty. The future becomes murkier and murkier. So what I think will help really close the gap, right, is the more the interaction with the business is normalized, its relationship, not one annual review, not a spot check-in email, a more dynamic, active relationship should have the positive benefit of better performance and better outcomes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I want to double click on something you just said there too, because you were mentioning that tech like Parlay helps scale what you guys want to do. You're looking to double loan volume next year, help twice as many businesses in the area, which is really fantastic. And you were mentioning that centaur lender kind of concept, right, where human and machine together outperform machine. And I think that's so important right now, because with this proliferation of new AI tools on the market, Parlay obviously is one of them, but what we've noticed with other systems is, okay, well, if we just automate more, then we can lend more. And lending more and faster is important, but also you said making sure you get paid back is important too, right? And so I think where I get really excited thinking about this partnership too is how can we not only help aggregate that information, filter it, give you back more time so you can work with your small businesses, but also how can we help capture the lending IQ of locality with every decision you structure and make, so that over time, the system can help you get better at improving how you lend and scaling how you lend to capture not just the small business data, but also the lender decision data too.
It's amazing how much of the credit decisioning process isn't really captured today in our underwriting and in our documentation.
Doc data.
But that information is hugely impactful in performance, right? And, as much as I think I have an amazing memory, I'm pretty sure I forgot the loan I did 8 years ago and what was the process that we did for that specific industry and segment and geography. But, last time I checked, if your data center is up, you have paid your fees, that information should still be there and it could be easily accessed, right?
Absolutely.
And that could turn into better insights too. We as bankers need to do a better job of helping our businesses, period, point blank. And that doesn't mean approve every loan. That doesn't help. That's not help. That's enabling bad behavior, right? Sometimes what the business needs is the hard truth, a no, maybe a not now, right? And do these things and you can get there, right? So it's not, get away from us or it was nice knowing you. It's the long-term relational approach that I believe is where the true value is. But taking that dark data and applying it helps us do more with less.
Like a feedback loop.
Exactly.
Yes, I love that. That's such a good point. Well, I think we're coming up on time, but I guess my last question to you is, what excites you the most? You know more about SBA than most people I've met. This is a space you've been in for a really long time. And as you said, it's changing really fast. What excites you about that right now? Obviously in the context of our partnership, but also generally.
Well, it's exciting. And I'm also a little scared because the marketplace, I don't see other SBA lenders as my competitors.
Yeah.
Right. I think we're all doing an amazing job of providing healthy, safe capital in our communities. Yeah. Right. And we have the responsibility to take care of the government subsidized program in order for this to be a long-term successful program, right? That being said, the people who do scare me is the private lending space. And that space has been growing significantly over the last 5 years, 10 years. I know that there are some predatory options out there. There are some that aren't. But the common thread is that they're fast and they're quick. And I think they use that AI modeling component for that, get as much money out the door as possible. Yeah. But once again, we see the aftermath of that, right? And it's not,
absolutely,
it's shrinking the opportunity for the rest of this prudent lending space. So, I'll leave with one of my favorite catchphrases that I keep telling myself: if you're not at the table, you're on the menu. Yeah. So
my goodness.
If we want to defend our turf as SBA lenders, we need to adopt technology. We need to do a better job of being quicker. I'm not saying we fund in 2 hours, but we cannot have a 60, 90, 120 day process. If we want to do what's right for small businesses and we want to be active participants in this amazing small business economy.
I love that. And I think you did such a good job summarizing what we need to do, which is be able to offer that experience as quickly as some of these other players who are more predatory, less good, but also scale it in a prudent manner, in a way that is good for credit risk, in a way that learns from prior credit risk and aggregates that data so we can do it better tomorrow, 1 year from now, 10 years from now, and forever, ideally.
I love it. I love it. So in the meantime, if you have an SBA loan need, you can go to localitybank.com and use our new Parlay integration to apply.